too. Oh, you know, we called the cops because he tried to pass off a fake $10 note. What kind of nonsense is that? There was no fake $10 note. I mean, my God. And then they killed. I mean, it's just so upsetting. I was involved in two cases in 2013 and 2014 of people being accused of things they absolutely did not do. One was the overthrow of the government of Democratic Republic of Congo. That was kind of interesting. Yeah. And the other one was just this man who was, this old lady got scared and she was robbed and she just pointed the first guy she could find.
Yeah.
He was Liberian. I mean, I tell you, I mean, having gone to all those court cases and gone through that, I mean, obviously, I have been in jail twice. So, I mean, yeah. But
you don't seem like nobody that went to jail now.
No, I tell you, I mean, but what they went through, my God. You know, and they were totally innocent. They still had, even if you're totally innocent and everyone's with you and everyone knows it's wrong, they still go, you have to keep going to court and you go to court and you go to court and you're not earning money and people are not believing you. I mean, it was just, oh, it's just awful. I'm so glad you do what you do, Herman, and I'm so glad Sister Prejean does what she does. I mean, my gosh, she's wonderful.
And Brian Stevenson too, with the Just Mercy movie and book.
Yes,
he's wonderful too.
Yes.
Love him.
Right?
Actually, it was funny. Both Brian Stevenson and Sister Helen came to my university 2 years in a row. It was back to back, so I got to meet both of them in 2 years.
That's
amazing. The coolest thing ever. I was like, you guys are incredible.
That's a great school. You know, they have an online, big online program. I wanted to tell Herman and everybody.
That's Arcadia University, Herman.
Oh, okay, different things.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's in Jersey, there's South Jersey Women for Progressive Change, and there's a girl named Jen North, and she actually. It used to be like a teaching task force, but now what she's doing is she actually passed out a sheet in our Embracing Race group out of Collingswood that has, she knocks on doors and she says, this is the reason that the people called the police, and she has alternatives. What could you do instead of calling the police? Because one time it was a little girl selling bottles of water, and she actually has these lengthy conversations. I was thinking of doing that with her prior to COVID. But yeah, there are people doing a lot of things. My sadness, my concern is I'm so grateful they fired these last 4 cops on the spot. What took them so long, and why didn't the other people shot?
They should have arrested the guy who was blaming him for this $10 note.
Years.
Yeah, I mean, the whole system.
Going back, here we live in Florida. The one thing I really wanted to ever get involved with sincerely was fight and stand your ground in Florida, because I just can't even look at pictures of Trayvon Martin and all of the injustice. And now all of a sudden, there's something going on that I bet you we don't know about, because it's too contrived. These 4 got fired and none of the rest of them for years got in trouble. Particularly these 2 shot a girl in her bed. I looked up the whole story.
But you look at the police chiefs in all these places and the people that were supporting the police chief in Minneapolis. They've all got Spanish names. They're all Hispanic, which is very interesting. Now they're going to be sympathetic. I didn't see anyone called Kelly or whatever it is. But they all had or O'Connell. I mean, I'm Irish too. It's okay, right? But So that's the great thing, though, when we have diversity in police chiefs, especially with women. I mean, this sort of thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping we're moving in the right direction, but it really doesn't feel like it sometimes. Yeah.
Well.
Oh, can you tell me a little bit about this group here? I didn't get a. All right.
No,
Yeah.
that's perfect. So I was just about to pass the mic over to you and just let you do your little, whatever you came prepared with. But it looks like Ron's joining us too, or he's trying to.
And
But
can you, are you recording? Are you recording this?
I
This is
am, yes.
Very
Yeah.
glad to hear that.
So we are the Amnesty International group that is based in Philadelphia. So there are some other groups that are based in like the suburbs and at some local colleges, but we are the one that's based. What are we? Chapter 112, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good. We regularly meet monthly downtown, but obviously we've switched to a virtual format. But I assume you're pretty familiar with Amnesty's like mission, but basically they just the mission is to raise awareness of human rights around the world and raise awareness of countries and governments and people that are not abiding by human rights around the world. So there's all types of different initiatives internationally, but the USA Amnesty seems to be pushing death penalty. The abolition of the death penalty is a huge one. Ending gun violence and immigration rights. Those are kind of, I think, the three of the biggest ones that AIUSA is pushing right now. So it's wonderful that you're here to speak with us, and we're really excited to have you.
Okay, this meeting today is for the reason you invited me in before. The reason I'm asking is because I got an email and it was like they're having a meeting, discuss the death penalty.
Yeah.
So my story my story is not a unique story. It's a story. Basically, we have 166 more stories of the same thing. So I wanted to see what it is that particularly that you wanted to discuss, as in to the point to accomplish what you want to accomplish out of this meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the death penalty or what's going around with the death penalty? I could talk a little bit about my story and you can ask questions, but I'm looking at the ones that's involved here, and everybody seems like they're on point. They know the news. They know.
Just tell us your story. Where were you? What happened? Where were you born? What have you been doing? What have you been doing since? Give us the human story. We do have a death penalty advocate as part of our group, and he's not on the call at the moment, Ivan, and he's been marvelous. And, I grew up in Australia. We got rid of the death penalty in 1966, and I was 15 at that stage. And in high school, we were all so disgusted. The last person hanged was in 1966, and it caused everyone was just absolutely appalled, and we got rid of it then. So when I was 15, we had all kinds of discussions about how stupid it was, how you end up executing the wrong person, and you blame the wrong person. Now in Australia, of course, there's Aborigines who were very badly treated for a long time, and not so badly now, but there's still a long way to go. It always seemed to me absolutely appalling. And then when I came to the United States and people were sort of acting like it was a good idea, I was absolutely disgusted. And I'm just so glad that things have been moving in the direction of banning.
Well, I would like to hear your story, Herman.
Yeah,
I'm gonna tell the story, but I like to grasp for we want to achieve out of this. Is it some planning, or is it, that's what I try to do in these meetings here, so we don't just be wasting. Me personally, I'm having fun sitting back watching y'all talk, so, but it's not about
pandemic boredom. Everything's exciting.
He would have a great time riding home with us on the high-speed line. All Suzanne and I do is
I'm like,
that's great. Well, here's my letter. I'll read my letter later to the prison. I want to figure out. Also, I need inputs how to go about implementing it, like sending it, who to send it to.
Yeah. Also, Herman, if you have any, I mean, please, yeah, I would love to hear your story. I'd love to hear about the work you're doing with the Witness to Innocence Project. And if you have any like actions or anything that we can do as a group, like if there's petitions or anything that we can sign, we'd be happy to send them to our group members too. So please let us know what we can do to help as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
hoping.
I'm affiliated with many groups, and I could forward them off. I'm in an Embracing Race group based out of Collingswood, New Jersey. I can forward them to all the people that I get information from if you want any petitions.
Okay. So I'm
you
gonna go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and brief you on my situation. Back in 2006, I was arrested for a murder that happened 12 years prior. That murder / robbery of a pawn shop in 1994. In 1994, when they first came to me, I wasn't a suspect or anything. I was someone that made something from the streets. So they asked me questions, and I told the questions, and I answered the questions, and I had no problem. 12 years later, a detective took over the case because the case went cold, and the detective that was handling the case actually retired. So this detective came and talked to me and was asking me questions about back in '94, and I wasn't sure about some of the questions. So the questions I wasn't sure about, I would say, I'm not sure, I don't remember. I didn't say, no, this didn't happen, or I didn't try to change the story or anything. But my thing is, I can't hardly tell you what I did 2 days ago. So if there's no significance, how you gonna remember 12 years ago?
Yeah.
So because I couldn't answer the questions the way he wanted me to answer, he said I was answering the questions suspiciously. The detective left and later came back with a warrant for my arrest, which he had went to a grand jury and got an indictment on me using information that he cannot use in my trial. A lot of the information that he used to obtain an indictment, he could not use in my trial. But they gave him the indictment. When I was arrested, I thought it was like a joke or something. I was like, hey, I do a couple of days and the state will drop the charges because I didn't commit this crime. But it didn't work out. Well, you got to excuse me because I had like 4 meetings today. So,
Wow.
yes.
So much for a pandemic. Yeah.
It's a lot of different subjects. So when I was arrested, I thought it would be like a 40-day process and then they'll drop the charge because I was like, there's no way they get me for this. I didn't do it. It didn't work out like that. And I went going back and forth to court and things for like 6 months until I told my lawyers, hey, I want to demand for speedy trial because I want to go to trial. I'm not going to sit in here fighting no murder case like 2 and 3 years like most of the guys are here doing when I didn't do it. So we did the demand of speedy trial and it was granted to us. The first piece of evidence that they brought in, and they brought this evidence in to inflame the jury. They brought the worst picture of the crime scene of the victim, and they put it on this big screen projector, and they turned around and let the medical examiner talk for 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, of just how the victim died of the gunshot wound. Excuse me one second. The next piece of evidence they brought in was some guy related to my ex-wife. They were supposed to give him a $10,000 reward, and he just testified that I asked him, what did they say on the news? Did they say it was any witnesses or anything like that? The third piece of evidence was a pawn shop slip. In '94, I told them that I pawned my Sega game there up under an alias name because I had a warrant for some tickets. And I told them that I had been there before. And so I told them I pawned it up under an alias name. So they went and got the pawn slip ticket and they matched my fingerprint to it. And they came in front of the jury and told the jury that I went there trying to stake out the place. And that had happened weeks before this crime ever even happened. So they told them that I went there to stake out the place and things like that. But they wouldn't have even never found the pawn shop slip if I wouldn't have been honest and told them that I pawned something there in my Sega game there in an alias name, because they wouldn't have never seen that. They wouldn't have seen my name, so they wouldn't have seen that I pawned something else. So I was being honest, so I don't understand why they reversed it on me like that, but that's the state thing they do. The next piece of evidence they had was my ex-wife, Nikki. And she got on the stand testifying to some things, and the state moved to impeach her because the state asked her, did you say this? And she said she never said that. And then they told us on the statement, she said, well, if you want me to tell the truth, you know, I told y'all I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about Herman being involved. That only reason I gave a statement is because the detective was threatening to take my son and keep coming to my job, harass me and harass my grandmother. They basically told me what to say on the statement, and they were supposed to give me $10,000 reward, which they never gave me.
God.
I kind of enjoyed that. That was the best part of my trial, because I was looking at the state attorney like, when I see my wife get rowdy up, I was like, you would not win this conversation. You would not win this argument. You know, that was the only highlight of the trial that I really enjoyed, because I thought I was the only one that argued with her.
Wow.
The last piece of evidence was a guy named Mark Sims, who was the prime suspect in the case. He was, in '94, when they was investigating, he was actually a prime suspect with the other guy, Mr. Lorray. And they said that they had him on video going to another robbery, and he actually just reached over and shot the clerk for no reason. In '94, he did not know anything about this case. And through 97, 96, 97, 2000, 2002, 2004, he all denied knowing anything about this incident, this crime, this situation. In 2005, he decided with this new detective to make a deal to get some time cut off. And he said, oh, I remember I was in a holding cell with Herman, and Herman admitted that he committed the crime. With that information there, I got found guilty about it for first-degree felony murder, first-degree premeditated murder. The interesting thing between the penalty phase and the guilt phase, before I went to the penalty phase, there was two things that happened. I was in a hallway escorted by two officers, and Mark Sims was in the hallway escorted by two officers and a sergeant. And I asked him, I said, why are you lying on me, bro? You don't even know me. He told me it's nothing personal. It's payback. He got to do what he got to do.
Right. Yeah. God. Nothing personal. Yeah. Oh, this is upsetting. Yeah.
So we did a motion for newly discovered evidence and try to get a retrial based on his characteristic, his reasons to lie. And it was denied. So while we was waiting on the denial, after the hearing, I was in the holding cell, and they brought Mark Sims in the holding cell with me. A friend of mine noticed that he came in and asked me, he said, isn't that the guy snitching on you? I said, he's not the one snitch on me. You know, he like, let's get him. They wanted to jump on him, and I said, no, let God handle him. So me and Mark end up talking, and Mark explained to me that he don't know me. He don't know anything about me. He just that something happened with him and the other co-defendant in federal court, where he said the other co-defendant testified against him or snitched on him. So he was trying to get back and get his time free. that I never admitted anything to him. He never had a conversation with me. So we had brought 35 inmates to the courtroom and filed a new motion for new discovery evidence and new trial to show that this guy had motive to lie. And we brought the deputies also, and they denied the motion. So I went ahead and I ended up going to the penalty phase, which in the penalty phase, jury decided 8-4 that I received death.
Yeah.
I remember when the judge handed it down to me, he said, "We, the people of the state of Florida, now hereby sentence you to die by lethal injection." I began to live in like a numb state. I'm living every day, but I'm not really grasping everything because I can't figure out how I got convicted of something I didn't do. And after spending some time on death row and seeing some of them inmates waiting on for 18 years on appeals and things like that, I began to get real depressed because I'm like, I have to spend all this time on something I didn't do. But luckily in 2009, my case came, the first case in history of the state of Florida Supreme Court judges ruled unanimously that I shouldn't have never even be convicted, and they released me straight from death row back to my family.
God.
Wow.
So how long were you actually in jail?
I was actually in jail 3 years.
3 years. Boy.
Which that's why I tell people I'm not mad about what happened to me. I am very grateful for being wrongfully convicted and going through the experience I went, because it's like the stories in the Bible, you know, God took people through things to be the voice. So he has to have someone to work as a voice. So I looked at, I was the lucky one to be chosen to go in there, because it's not very usual that a person get tried, convicted, and released within 3 years dealing with a death penalty case.
Right.
And for all 7 judges to rule that I
Yeah.
should never be in it, and they released me straight from back into society, was a real blessing. And now it gives me the opportunity to travel the world and educate people about this mishap or miscarriage of justice that goes on. And as I say, my story is not a unique one, because here it is, we have 106 more people that's just like me, and people coming up every day now showing their innocence. And you know, I thank God that I have the voice to be able to go out there and talk with people and get them to look at things a little bit differently, because hey, it could have been you, it could have been anyone, and we need to have knowledge of what is really going on.
Yeah.
Terrible.
And Herman, they never, like, this is what astounds me. Like, people don't get, not that it could ever make up for what you went through or the years you lost, they don't offer you any financial compensation at all.
No, I don't.
What do they say? What do they do? They just let you go, but that's it? The time you lost?
They released me to my parents, and that's it. No money, no anything. Florida has a compensation law where they have to compensate you for wrongfully convicted. However,
Okay.
it's a law on the books, but since it's been created, out of maybe 40 people that's been exonerated, only 4 qualified for it. And the reason being is because one of the grounds of it is, and we just changed this, is that if you had a prior conviction, a prior felony conviction, you're not eligible for compensation, even if the felony has nothing to do with the murder. Secondly,
And even if that was a wrongful conviction too. So even if the felony that you were convicted for was wrongful, if you, right.
Well, I never addressed that part because I look at it if whenever it's a wrongful conviction, they overturn it. So it's not a conviction of a felony. So, you know, and the second loop is, in order to receive the compensation, we have to go petition back to the court and prove that we was innocent, that we had nothing to do with the crime.
But I thought that that was already established when they let you out.
That's how it was, but the judges, we've been filing cases like this, and the judges really don't know how to handle this case because here it is, it's not a criminal matter. How can you prove your innocence, especially after all these years? You know, I mean.
Well, when they said, I'm not following you. When they let you out, don't they say you're innocent when they let you out? They acknowledge they had the wrong man.
Okay, let's take my case for instance. The Florida Supreme Court ruled unanimously, all 7 judges ruled that I should have never even been convicted of this crime.
Which means you're
But
innocent.
in order for me to get the compensation, I have to petition the courts, the trial courts, and I have to have another little hearing to prove that I was innocent.
So you have to go through all that trauma from a mental health standpoint. You were traumatized to begin with. Now you have to literally relive this traumatic, horrible event that you went through just to get what's rightfully yours, which is at least civil compensation. Of course, it's a civil case. That's why am I in Florida? Please don't tell me these things. God, this is.
They don't compensate you for that.
What would Brian Stevenson? What does he say about this? What would he say, Amara?
Well,
I mean, there's got to be somebody who goes after them somewhere.
Well, we've been fighting here in Florida. I've been fighting, me and a couple of organizations been fighting the compensation bill every year for the last 4 or 5 years. I finally convinced the committee to take the Clean Hands Act out, where, you know, it don't matter if you've been convicted of a prior felony. But the other prong is, we still fighting. And that's the thing that hurts me the most, is that legislators can see something wrong with the law that they passed, but they won't correct it all at once. They correct it a little bit at a time, a subsection at a time, or something like that.
And there's so many loopholes. It sounds like loopholes. They write it ambiguously just to make sure that people can't get compensated for all that they lost. Like when you sue in a civil in litigation, it's you sue for lost wages, and you know, not to mention the mental, like I said, trauma that you went through, your family going through. It's just a disgrace. When I heard on one of the webinars, they just passed a law, I'm not sure which state, that they did pass that the person that didn't hold the weapon, was just an accomplice, cannot be convicted of first-degree murder. That passed him, but it sounds like it takes years to get any kind of justice anywhere. I mean,
you have these legislators that write these laws, and do it just to put something on the books that they wrote a law, and they don't know the actual depths behind it. You know, they really don't know the depths behind it. And then when they find out, it's too late, because it's hard to change it, you know. And then when you change it in certain subjects, a lot of politicians don't want to get aboard and change it. They actually vote against that, and so it's like they vote against what is right, and it's just crazy.
But that's why when we're in these groups, we have Cory Booker, you know, and I forget which state I'm in half the time, but he's Jersey. So he wrote the First Step Act, and now he's behind the second step. And how they go about getting a change, when I'm learning from Moms Demand Action in Jersey, they get a whole bunch of people behind it. And if the politicians think that they will not be reelected, if they vote against this thing, that's how you change a law. And it's horrible to say, but that's how you change it. You get its votes. That's why Trump is so terrified about this paper ballots. He knows Some people just can't get to the polls. He knows it. He's so diabolical. So everything that has to do with paper ballots, he's squashing. If you look at your, news feed and things like that, they know exactly what they're doing. It's all so contrived, but they can't fight numbers. And if you get groups and groups, and that's why I've been thinking a lot lately, like I'm thinking as you're speaking, there's a man named Ryan, anyway, the head of the sentencing project spoke to Cory Booker, and there was this long conversation. We would merge a lot of these groups, I think the actions would take over, and the petitions, they say, do really make a difference. I also found out recently, I always get petitions from this place called Color of Change, but I didn't know that anybody can come up with their own petition for change.org and circulate it throughout everywhere they know, through all the people. So if you, like, that would be a good issue, like litigation in an unjust, I don't know.
So
It's
what would be
beyond me that you don't get something for all your pain.
It would be to demand automatic compensation
Restitution.
after being released for being innocent.
That would be the law. That would be, and you'd have to speak to a lawyer to write it a certain way. I think I'll write Cory on that one. Because that's it. That would be it. Automatic. You said the word, like you're automatically recompensated, just like in a lawsuit, for lost wages, for trauma and punitive, action against you and your family. That wasn't even just. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, most states are having problems where, it's very difficult. But compensation is not my problem. I work speaking, and I make enough to pay my bills, so I'm okay with that. But the biggest problem is when even though you're exonerated, you still serve a life sentence. Because here it is, I've been looking for a place to rent. I own a house now that I need to remodel, but I don't have the money to remodel, and I just got married and she got kids. So we need a bigger place, and I can't add on to it. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So the biggest problem is when you go to try to rent at these places, or you go to apply for a job, they do a background check. And once the people see that murder case, even though you've been exonerated, and you show people papers of exoneration, they still have a problem. I got denied life insurance because I had that murder charge on my record on the background check. I've got denied numerous programs, assistance, and things like that because I have that murder. Even though I showed the Florida Supreme Court rulings that I was exonerated, people still have their opinions, and they tend to feel fearful because it's a murder case, and that's something that goes with you. So you try to get it expunged. It's most difficult to get it expunged off of there. And going through getting a clemency takes years and years and years. So it's more, the hurting more part is that I have to continue living a life sentence for the rest of my life because of this murder. If it was a minor drug charge or a minor theft charge or something like that, then it wouldn't be so bad. I could still probably rent a place. But because it was a murder, even though I was exonerated of it, it's being held against me tightly. In fact, for the first 4 to 5 years I was out, every time I was fearful of having a car because I bought a car when I came home, and when they ran my tag, they would pull me over. When they pulled me over, they pulled me out with guns, and I had twins in the car at the time, and they was only like 2, 3 years old, and they'll put me out with guns. And I asked them, why y'all pulling me over like this? Get out the car and all of this. And the reason it was happening like that is because when they pulled me, when it comes back with my name, it says I'm released on conditional release for murder.
I see.
I was exonerated. So a lot of times I have to sit there and explain to the officer, hey man, I was exonerated of this. And then I get a break. But it came to time where I was getting arrested by officers and stuff and harassed by officers, because I filed a complaint because they kept pulling me because of I was saying I was on conditional release. So in the first 5 years, I got arrested 5 times for charges, and I never made it to court on the charges. The charges was so fraudulent that.
Was this something that was on your license plate?
Excuse me?
Was this something on your license plate? Can you
Well,
hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's in the system. When
What was on your license plate?
no, it's my license plate just says a regular tag, you get from DMV. But when they call
run
in
through.
registry, the police department has certain notes that comes flashes up when they run your name, run your registration.
Yeah.
It's just like if your license suspended, it automatic flags when they run your license. Run your tag, your license suspended. So when they run my tag, it automatically shows them out on condition release for murder. Take a certain code that like protect yourself, or you might be armed or dangerous type thing.
But
So
seriously, that could be something maybe you could get in touch with. You could start something with a local politician that exonerated should be right there, on your license or your tag, or when they run it, it would come up exonerated. That could be, legislation that we could look at.
Well, that's what I've been. I go to the legislators every year. I'm good friends with a lot of the legislators, and the last 2 years been outstanding. They're working on trying to make the changes.
Who's your congressperson?
Who's my congressperson?
Yeah.
I think that is our ex-governor, Scott.
Right. Okay.
So,
My sympathy. Yeah. Right. Okay. You're not going to get terribly far.
When we had Nelson out there, but a lot of these things, these issues, it's like she was saying, in order to make these changes, we had to do it in numbers, and how we got it. The conversation part change was a lot of our organizations, we joined together on this issue, and we worked together on this issue, and we hammered and brought in faith leaders and everything like that, and we held news presses and things like that. But even though we do that, you still have some politicians that feel like, hey, I'm powerful, so I don't have to get aboard of this. I don't care what you tell my constituents. Like, they guaranteed to win election again, so they feel arrogant and strong.
Not now, though. Not now. We can take and vote anybody down. That's.
But see, some of them, one of the biggest, one of the biggest problems was in Florida House is we have Cochran and we have Sprouse. The other Republicans came through line of family. So they have a lot of political ties and things like that. So they don't actually fear losing their seats. They don't. They feel like they can do what they want to do. And if a person don't agree with them, then if the okay, I'm gonna put it this way. One of my good friends who's a legislator saying that, I want to push this bill like this, but I got to push it in bits because when I took it to Sprouse last year, he didn't want to entertain it. And if I pushed for him to entertain the bill, which he got to say, so what bill is entertained and which one is not entertained in the bill, because he's the House Speaker. So if we push it, we won't get nowhere, because a lot of legislators won't join us because Sprouse don't want to introduce it and be afraid that he want to introduce some of the bills that they want to introduce. So he got that power, and that's the bad thing about the legislation. But gladly we got Bush, who's also a Republican, taking over the House this year. So I think I'll get somewhere with that.
Can I ask a question? I'm just interested because, like I said, I'm able to read Brian Stevenson's book and meet him, and that was kind of the first book that I'd read that really had gotten me. I was always interested in criminal justice reform and death penalty reform and stuff. But that book really, really changed something for me. So when they announced the movie and stuff, I was super excited because I was like, wow. So, and I just heard you mention briefly when you were talking that you were able to have some sort of role in the production. Is that what you said of Just Mercy? So I was just wondering what you were able to do and what you thought about it. And
when the movie first began, they brought a bunch of organizations and people to New York, and we discussed some things. But I was handpicked by Robert Raven, who was over the Raven Group. He used to be the Attorney General with Clinton. So he knows me, and he was following the work I did, so he brought me aboard. And then he put me on the executive committee that's dealing with the movie. So the production part, I really don't have a say-so. I didn't have say-so about, but the executive part is how to campaign the movie. The other committees and stuff like that. It's like we're the executive committee to determine where this movie goes, when it's released, when it screens and stuff like that. Now, the second part of that is the surrogate part, which I'm in the rep Justice Surrogate, where I go out and speak about the movie and speak on campaigns. If you go on the Represent Justice website, you'll see a lot of work that this is doing behind this movie, to run campaigns on criminal justice reform issues, many issues about people incarcerated and the treatment they're getting now, especially with COVID-19, the death penalty, juvenile sentences, the excessive sentences, and stuff like that. So this movie was brought out, but behind the scene of the movie, they also launched a campaign because this movie grabbed people's attention. It grabbed the people's attention. It reached in the areas that we couldn't reach just by trying to set up little speaking events in churches and colleges and stuff. It reached to people that we couldn't reach way before, and it actually changed them some. So now that the movie grabbed them, they run the campaign behind it to try to change the laws and try to change the criminal justice reform things to fit what is best and for protect people's human rights.
Do you think that was successful? Do you think the movie was like a successful way to bring about change?
It was amazing successfully, and the reason being is because now we have so many celebrities involved in this campaign, in this Rep Justice campaign, where they're actually getting on board and they're hosting events among other celebrities and things like that. And the education of things just flowed out to an international way that it was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. So I think it was a great success, and it's something that's going to be going on for quite some years. And we're now finally seeing changes. Like, for instance, a lot of governors seen this movie, and like, for instance, Colorado. We didn't think that Colorado would abolish the death penalty because of that one representative. I forgot her name. She's very pro death penalty, but her family had got killed by someone, and she was strictly for it. But after all, the state that we thought we wouldn't win in, we actually won. Colorado abolished the death penalty, and we had Virginia, I think, before then, and Arkansas is considering, and you got a lot of people actually reconsidering the death penalty. But not only did it reach as far as the death penalty was concerned, it actually bent a lot of Republicans and a lot of hard people in this fight to bend a little bit and start looking at some of these issues that we have here now. So like, for instance, if we try to get in with a legislator 5 years ago saying, talk about the death penalty, they wouldn't want to meet with us. Now you can get a meeting with them with ease. So it reached a lot of people that we needed to reach, and the campaign behind it is actually phenomenal as far as getting the hard people to look at the issues that we're trying to fight for.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
I think never before has the country been so divided since Trump. The one good thing is, you know where people stand. I was going to also say like things like Netflix, because before I left home, I was looking at Free Meek, and I didn't know who this boy was and how he grew up where like North Philly. I grew up in South Philly, but he was totally railroaded. And you don't know that until you watch this, the Netflix, the Exonerated 5, you know, the people, those, I still can't watch that.
Central Park 5?
Central Park, but Oprah likes to call them the Exonerated 5 now. But their lives were like, I
That
can't
was
even
Trump.
watch.
He put out a full-page ad in the New York Times to get them executed.
I recall that. I recall,
such
and then they weren't even
disgusting
guilty.
thing.
And I just, the thought of
Yeah.
a 13-year-old child being treated that way, just as a mother, just breaks my heart. And but I do think you have a good point, Herman, that the media is really reaching people, and movie and entertainment, you know, and Jamie Foxx. I went to see it because Jamie Foxx is in it but whatever, you know, if you get people on board with it, and again, numbers and uniting, you know, and standing up for what you believe in, you know. But I still think you should be compensated and exonerated right on the driver's license. I think it should be stamped exonerated. Something like that. Cory Booker, he's the only one I can think of.
But you can see what they're doing. They're saying exonerated is not the same thing as innocent. That's what they're saying. That's the issue.
Well,
and
that's
of course,
a disgrace right there.
and of course that's splitting hairs, because if you're exonerated, that means you are innocent.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what's going on there. Yeah.
Well, you gotta understand, it's politics, and it's like the state attorney can know they did a case that should not have been, a person should not have been convicted, and they will stand on it that, oh no, he did it, we just couldn't prove it. Instead of amending that, you know, hey, the evidence wasn't there, we're not sure if he was the one, you know, and he got his wrongfully convicted. They're not going to admit that type of thing, you know. And gratefully, we had Ms. Ala down here in Orlando, Florida, who became the first state attorney to say that she won't prosecute death penalty case. Now we have a lot of state attorneys now that actually choose not to seek the death penalty. In fact, we just reached your state attorney in Philadelphia, and he's having second thoughts about death penalty cases also. So, you know, it's beginning to change. You know, it's beginning to change. So we have to look at it right now as we are beginning to win the fight. You know, it's not quite where we need it in all aspect, but you have to understand, we all human, and some of the people that we put in power to do the work for the state abuses it and uses it to their advantage instead of doing what is right and what is just.
That's Ron. Ron's back.
Ron's back. Well, Herman, I feel like we've taken up enough of your time, and if we've had 4 meetings today, I don't want to keep you too much longer. But thank you so much for coming, and I really appreciate you speaking with us on this, because it's so interesting and it's so terrible to hear about, and hopefully we'll change something.
Yeah, we generally record the talks. We can send you a link for some of the talks that we've recorded.
Do you have my email?
I don't have your email. No, I only have the person who set it up. I would love to have it.
Okay.
It's Herm.
Wait. Don't. unless you want it public. I mean, this is being
Well,
recorded.
I would like
Yeah,
it if you
I don't care
mind.
about my email being public. I don't care about my email being public. The reason being because I have an open door policy. Anybody
Right.
want to contact me or ask me questions or anything, I'm
Good.
there through email.
That's
at any
right. I mean, you're not afraid of trolls or anything, not after what you've been through. No.
I think that if a person take time out to email me and
Yeah.
have a question or interested in something, I feel like it's my duty to respond back to them because I feel like they're trying to educate themselves or maybe trying to educate someone that may need to be educated. So I don't have no problem with anyone
Well,
having my email.
I would like it for when I'm in Florida as a resident. So go ahead. I'm glad I can have it.
It is Herm, the HERM, the number 4, the word justice @gmail.com. So it's gonna read Herm for Justice.
Very good.
Hermforjustice at email.com.
@gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
Okay, great.
And is
So
that all? Is that capital H on Herman or is it a small h?
It's not the full,
Is
it's
it
not
capital
the,
H or small?
it doesn't matter whether it's capital or not.
It's what?
But it's not the full name Herman.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
It's
Herm.
HERM.
RM.
Then the number
For justice.
4,
Okay.
the number 4, and then the word justice @gmail.com. And you can feel free to
Gotcha.
contact me anytime. You know, you can invite me on these conversations anytime because I like hearing y'all talk.
You'll be on the list.
I
Thank you
would
so
love
much.
for my Embracing Race group. I don't know how we could do that because they are in New Jersey, but I would love for you to speak. They would love to have you.
And good luck with your new marriage, and I guess your twins.
Yes.
Everything else.
No, they're older now. The babies are older now.
Yes, they 8 years old now.
Hey, oh, lovely age.
Yeah, I'm a good. That's the therapist in me. I was listening to
I'm
it.
glad to get out the
Telling the
terrible.
story.
Glad to get out of terrible twos.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Herman.
you.
You're more than welcome to stay. We are going to do a little bit of just general amnesty business. You're more than welcome to stay, but also you can leave if you want. It's totally up to you because it might be kind of boring. But
I'll go because but I would, I'm gonna say this. I would like to see Amnesty a little bit more here in Florida because when Amnesty was working real good here in Florida, we was making great accomplishment. The Atlanta chapter was doing some great work and putting on some great events and things like that. I would, if y'all could contact the corporate and tell them, let's get Amnesty back on the map down here in Florida. And I need some help down south.
we'll do our best. We'll do our best. I can reach
I'm
out to that
coming
area for
soon. I was here 3 months, and next year maybe I'll be 6 months. So I know
You
it's
may
a
never
secular.
leave, Donna. We don't know
I
how
may
long
never
this is going on for. You
I
stay
know
where
it's a
you
secular
are. Don't
agency,
go
but
outside and wear a
I
mask.
can hear that Herman is. I can say to Herman, pray for me to be where I need to be, and we'll see.
Okay. There you
All right.
go, Herman. You've got her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay.
Okay, so I have kind of official business that I have to ask you guys for your help with because
Okay.
I don't know all the answers. So Amnesty, like the big, head honcho Amnesty, emailed me a survey to fill out about our group. So I just have a few questions that I'm hoping that the two of you can help me answer because I haven't been apart for that long.
I'm just turning on the light.
Okay. So do you know how many, can you guesstimate how many active members we have?
I'm just, Susanna can go by the emails. Where'd she go? Oh, she went to the bathroom?
No.
Just turn the light on.
The light.
There's 25 email addresses in the list that I have. You think that would suffice as a number?
I thought you 25. There were about 50.
I only
Yeah,
have.
I don't know. See, Ron always sent out emails and he put everyone on the list so we knew what was there. But then he started taking off people that didn't show up.
There haven't been that many since I've been coming, and that's about 6 years.
Maureen, Ivan, Frank,
David.
David Loeb, Ron, me, Amara, Donna.
And how about
Denise?
Frank and the man
Yeah,
from upstairs, who runs the race
George.
task force? I can't think of his name. The man who runs the task force for Ethical Society. He comes. Remember
Eric.
Eric? They used to come together. Yeah, Eric and him. They came.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's like 10.
Okay.
10.
We'll say 10.
10 who always show up. I
Mhm.
mean, we know they're going to show up.
Probably right. Yeah.
And do you guys have any idea in what year the group was chartered?
That's something Dorothy knows. I think it was 1977 or something like that. But that's something Dorothy can answer.
Okay. I don't think it has to be perfect. I just wanted to make sure.
It might even be longer than that. I know it's been going for a very long time. Yeah.
Okay. This is all about.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. Feel free.
I have a very stupid problem. I bought a whole lot of stamps last December, and they're beautiful. They're all different pictures and one thing or another, but they don't have numbers on them anymore. So I haven't sent any letters out because I have no idea how much every stamp is worth. And then I go to the post office website and they don't even tell you. They say it's a forever stamp, but a forever stamp can be a postage stamp. It can be a letter stamp. It can be an airmail stamp. They're still forever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really stupid problem I have. I mean, I have, yeah.
Wait,
but
do
anyway.
you need to use them or to like?
I want to use them to send out letters. I tell you, I probably have about 150 stamps.
Oh wow!
And that's, you know, because I bought them. I was I was all gung ho. I was sending out postcards and last year. Then I went off and I bought a whole lot of stamps. Another problem, and this is something we really have to consider, is that, for example, there's no planes still going into Thailand. And there's a whole lot of countries that are not accepting planes coming from the United States, which means airmail is not existent at the moment. You cannot send a letter to England, to China, to Thailand, and hope that it'll get there under eight weeks, or, you know.
Jeez,
So that's another issue too. It's
never
something you
thought about
never
that.
think about. No, you never think of that. Right.
Wow, that's crazy.
And a lot of countries we've been mailing letters to. Oh, what happened?
We're here.
Oh, that's weird. Thompson? Okay. A lot of countries I've been mailing letters to, we've been mailing letters to, they don't have a post system anyway. Now, I can remember I asked someone at the post office, I said, well, you know, what happens when we mail something to Nigeria? They say, oh, well, we'll take it and we just give it to Nigeria. And what they do there, well, they don't have a postal system in Nigeria. So you spend all that money, you put postage on a letter, and it just, I don't know, they dump it in the sea or something. So there's all kinds of issues like that. And the other problem too at the moment is the post office is in a lot of trouble.
Right.
And that idiot is trying to close them down because he doesn't want postal votes, because he's already closed down a whole lot of polling vote sections. So, I mean, we're really in a lot of trouble. And if we could figure out a way of organizing ourselves and getting together, because this is just horrendous.
Yeah, I never thought about the mailing system and how COVID would impact that. That's really interesting. So are writing letters right now like a good course of action?
Well, only if the country is taking planes from the United States, like Italy is.
Mine was going to be in the United States, so mine doesn't count.
It has to, yeah. So that's right. So we should only really be sending letters within the United States at the moment.
Wow.
That's what I think. That's what I believe. And in fact, that's a good idea because that will help the post office too. We send out letters. Yeah.
No, Dorothy was supposed to, sorry, I'm trying to fill out this survey. I just want to make sure I don't have any more questions for you guys. Dorothy was gonna write letters, but she said she wasn't feeling super well today, so she didn't. So I only have one letter, but I did want to tell you guys about it. Because it's my first letter I've ever like written. I'm like,
Oh, wonderful.
didn't even really write it though. I more pulled it from the Amnesty website, but still, I feel accomplished. Hold on. How are you guys feeling during this whole COVID thing? Are you ready for it to be over?
It is over where I am. It's over.
I think I'm never going to leave my house again. Not until I'm
it's
absolutely
scary.
sure. I tell you, I had flu at Christmas 2018. A whole lot of people came from Palestine and Israel, and they were for the American Friends Service Committee, and they brought some horrible bug, and I was sick for 2 weeks. I mean, I was really sick. I couldn't breathe in the night. I probably should have gone to hospital, but I didn't because my daughter said, "Don't freak me out by telling me you're sick. You have to go to the hospital." So, okay. So I'm lucky I didn't die. So I don't want, and this is supposed to be 100 times worse. So I don't want to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, I just like,
Have you been going out? Have you been going out, Amara?
Oh, no. I mean, everything's closed. The most I've been going out is just like for walks and stuff.
Okay, good.
I did go back to Buffalo for a little while, and I think I'm gonna go back in the next week or so just to spend time with my parents. But no, I mean, but supposedly next Friday things are gonna be opening up. So who knows, right?
So if I come back mid-June, things will be more open.
Yeah, they're planning to open everything. The governor wants the entire state to be in the green phase by the end of June.
I can tell my friends are getting more and more depressed. I can hear all of them. They're just.
Oh, it's awful. It just goes on and on. Yeah.
It's. I mean, we can go out here, but I don't know. There's two ways of looking at it because I'm still afraid. Like you, Suzanne, I had meningitis. I had viral meningitis.
Don't go anywhere. Right.
No, and that was in 2005. I felt like I was going to die.
Yeah.
When I hear them, like not Andrew, his brother, Chris Como, explain it, like they talk about it, like he chipped a tooth from the fever and he clenched his teeth so hard. And then when you hear them, the thing that bothers me is the news media, the media. First, that's all we heard. And now we're hearing about it, but I'm questioning all of the numbers that I'm hearing now because they want the economy open and we're acting like it went away and it didn't go away. It's still around. It's still a reality. I don't know. So we don't hear enough about it. I don't think enough reality about it. All we're hearing is what sports are coming back and where we can go now. And these people down here are idiots. I feel so bad for Herman. Oh my God! I thought I thought up north was bad. Now I'm in the South. I have to remind myself. You don't think of Florida as the South, do you? I never did. It's Florida. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're in Florida. You're so lucky." Poor Herman, poor people. They have no morals down here. It's like the hedonistic state of the world. That's what I think. I'll probably end up dying here, but whatever.
She says, "But whatever."
But whatever. You gotta die somewhere.
Have a nice warm grave anyway. There you go.
It'll be hot. Yeah, it's really, really great.
There you
to
go.
see all the things and crawly creatures and all
Well,
that.
So I don't know.
You got any more questions? Because Susanna probably knows them. I don't know them.
Yeah, it seems like it's just like I can probably do the rest of it on my own. If not, I'll make it up.
What else is there? No, I can.
It's just asking questions about what we've done in the past like 12 months, which that I can kind of answer. So, okay.
Now, where are you going to post this video?
I was gonna do like an email follow-up
Okay.
and email it to people. But if you want to take the link and post it to your
Yeah,
website.
I think I could. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you guys can see the chat, but
Right.
in the chat box, I just sent 2 links.
Mhm.
So the first is to the new Amnesty campaign, which is called Rights Now. Have you guys heard of that at all or no?
Mm-mm.
Vaguely familiar.
Yeah,
Yes.
Just from reading your email.
yeah, so it's Amnesty's response to COVID. So they have just identified a few key issue areas to really hone in on, and those are the conditions in prisons, the conditions in detention facilities, and then gun violence and the increase in the purchase of guns throughout COVID-19, as well as like people who are now trapped in domestic violence situations. So Amnesty is pushing to get these few issues really out and in the public eye, and urging Congress to pass legislation to release people in detention facilities, release people from prisons, and put more gun control into legislation to prevent people from buying more. So there's a ton of resources on the website. You can just go to rightsnow.amnestyusa.org. And there's like a billion different things you can read, and there's a bunch of petitions you can sign, and it tells you all the ways that you can get involved. The second link I sent here is to the Google Drive folder that I made for tonight's meeting, and it just has the letter that I drafted. So you can send it to any representative that you want, but I chose the it's to your legislators, so it can be local, it can be state. I did it to Pat Toomey because he's the Republican in the state, so I was like, sounds perfect to me. And it's just asking them to follow what Amnesty is trying to say here in this Rights Now campaign, or pass legislation for it. So, reducing gun violence and funding programs that are going to help people who are being disproportionately affected by the impact of COVID-19. So, Susanna,
that's
want to
good.
use some of those stamps?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm very happy. You see, that's the thing. I feel kind of stupid going to the post office and saying, how much is each stamp? I don't know how to, I don't know. I maybe I need to try again, but I'm not sure how much they're all worth.
Yeah.
I know a lot of them are postcard stamps, which I bought to send to Reality Winner. And I have sent a number to her. But I think we need to be sending other people postcards too about Reality Winner.
Okay.
She's still in jail. They're letting out all these awful people because they're worried about COVID. But this young woman is still in there. It's just shocking.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother is her greatest advocate. She's very active on Twitter. And in Twitter, sometimes you get to a lot of really good people.
Mm-hmm.
And there really seems to be a campaign, but it's not enough. She's still in jail.
Mm-hmm.
No?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. And then, but of course, that's all political too, because, she found that Trump was crook, essentially. She's in jail because she found,
Yeah.
terrible situation.
Well, I wrote a letter. It's kind of long. Can I get you guys' opinion on what to do with it and where to send it? Like,
Sure.
I have a problem because Amara can't read it because I can't put it in a PDF. So I'm just going to read it. And my plan is, I just think what I found out is there's so many facilities were overrun with facilities and prisoners. Like I said to Amara, we have, of course, you, Susanna, you probably know, 1/5 of the world's population, 1/3 of the world's prison population.
Right.
So this is what I've been learning from webinars, different things, and the horrendous stories that these poor families are telling. And what I think what the general public, like what Herman hit on, is what we need to educate people. Many people are in there and it's not a violent offense. Maybe it's a parole violation, like they drank when they got arrested for pot. Now they're in jail, and that's what concerns me. Even if, I don't care what you did in your life, I wrote it from Amnesty's perspective because it's a human rights issue. Being in prison and treated like you can die just because you took a drink on the wrong day, to me, is a human rights. Plus, everybody, no matter what you've done in your life, has the right to be treated with human dignity. That's what our treaties say. So this is what I wrote. And I copied it off of Dorothy, too. As a member of Amnesty International, I'm gravely concerned about the welfare of the individuals currently incarcerated in your facility. During the COVID-19 pandemic, American inmates are suffering and dying at alarming rates. Inadequate prison policies and atrocious conditions accelerate the death rate and increase anguish for prisoners and their families. Inadequate testing, filthy prison conditions, and lack of medical care have resulted in the rapid spread of the disease and a tragic loss of life. Often, solitary confinement is a fast substitute for social distancing. Medical treatment is reduced to one Tylenol and isolation in a dirty cell with inadequate bedding. Finally, family members often learn of the death or the disease of a loved one through a weekly phone call to their family member. This is cruel and unacceptable. Conclusively, as a member of Amnesty International, I demand human rights for all inmates. These rights will include the immediate implementation of adequate testing, humane medical treatment, and proper social distancing policies for all inmates in your facility. The current treatment of our country's prisoners is a violation of international human rights treaties, which prohibits torture or other acts of cruel and unusual degrading treatment or punishment. Sincerely.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I'll send that out.
Me too.
I would like to send it to, I'm astonished at the amount of facilities there are. Not to mention, I'm getting different things from different people, like youth facilities. I mean, imagine a boy, 14, 15, 16. And from my mental health background, and Amara knows in mental health, these are the people that were abused to begin with. Mm-hmm. So we take traumatized individuals and now we put them in this horrific situation where they're doubly, can you imagine how scared they are knowing that this disease kills people and they're right, and they have no ability to get away from it. It breaks my heart. But I would like to send it to every state in the union, but I don't know. There's so many facilities.
I'll see how many.
Any input you can give me, Susanna. She's got the stamps and I got the issue. But I mean, and also, I don't know, this really sounds stupid. Don't laugh at me. Since we switched to computers, what do you do? Do you print labels? How would I print all the envelopes for if I wanted to send 50 letters out? How would I print those envelopes?
I handwrite things. I handwrite.
I know. Do you still handwrite? People still do that? Amara, she's young.
You mean that handwrite
the address? Yeah.
I think for one thing, it looks nicer. If a machine has done it, it looks like you haven't really cared. But you put your own handwriting on it. That's always been the power of Amnesty International, these handwritten letters.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So maybe I'll just print a lot of, I don't know how to get a lot of these out. And I don't know what, we used to have, what is it?
But can you send it in an email in the bulk
I can send it. Yeah. I used a couple words. I'm a writer, so I want to change. I used the word twice.
You're a poet.
Punch it
beautiful.
Up.
Yeah. It's very clear.
Donna, if you want to send me the letter, I don't know what time, but I can add it to the Google folder because I'm planning to send that out to the entire group as a follow-up, probably tomorrow.
Okay. I can do it tomorrow. I can do it tomorrow. Whatever you can do. And Suzanne, I'll just type it to you then on your email.
Okay, super.
Mm-hmm. And then we can
you're still working full time, Amara?
I'm not working at all.
Yeah,
I had a couple. I picked this pandemic time to start my own business. Wasn't it timely? So I'm
No,
literally praying for what
you're
God
still
wants me to
working
do.
8 hours a day, which probably means 12 hours a day, because you end up working more. You working more when you're on the computer. Yeah.
okay. You guys have no idea. I've been working like insane hours. Like I think I worked like 70 something hours last
Well,
week.
what do you do? Because you're not working with people. Like, what are you contacting agencies?
Yeah, and it's just a lot of meetings and just it's just a lot of meetings and organizing and getting people on the same page to get things to move forward, because there's so much bureaucracy within like city government. So it's just a ton. So I'm doing all of this work. They pay me nothing. I'm like,
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but
you know what? What's the subject?
They will notice.
Have you
They
guys
will
heard?
notice. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Have you guys heard about the rats in Suburban Station?
yeah.
Okay.
My
Oh,
friend,
really?
thank you. My best friend Tammy, she told me about it, and I had other things on my mind, couldn't sleep, and I just kept picturing the rats eating each other. I was like, oh my God, I never want to go back there. We don't have rats down here. We just have lizards.
I know.
But yeah, rats.
It's bad. It's
Lucky.
not the best time to be in Philadelphia, that's for sure. But that's okay.
No.
Actually, what freaks me out is there was this woman on Twitter. She said, I'm in DC, and there was a snake in my toilet.
Oh,
It came through. Apparently, that's another thing too. Everyone's starving, so they don't have little mice all around the place. So they're just so there's all kinds of problems like that. My cat goes out every night and kills something. I don't know.
the funniest thing I've heard.
Bodies. Yeah.
The funniest thing I've heard so far since the pandemic started is I was listening to NPR one day, and it was like the local Philly kind of update, and they were saying that Jim Kenney, the mayor of Philly, had to get on and give a press conference to encourage Philadelphians to stop flushing their flushable wipes, because they're ruining the piping and the water system. And I was like, oh my, what have we come to? This is crazy.
And toilet paper.
Yeah, apparently flushable wipes are not flushable. That's interesting. So you just need to go back and use a washcloth.
Yeah.
In the beginning, I was so grateful to be here and have food, and now I'm getting ungrateful. But I hear Herman, I'm thinking, I just think he should be, he's not angry. Like, I would be like choking a politician to give me some money. Like, give me money. Like, you locked me up and I didn't do it. That's just a disgrace to me. It just goes against everything I believe in.
But he said something astonishing. He was only there for 3 years. I mean, generally people are there like 30, 40, 50 years. And
remember Jeff Bloodsworth? Yeah, he got
in and out in unbelievably record time. I've never heard of anything so quick.
Good for him, though. Good for
he must have been very, very
well, and he insinuated, and this is the good part, that he's getting paid for speaking and being connected with it. And
I don't know. Do we have any money? Maybe we should.
No, I mean,
no, I actually. They asked me if we could pay him because it was Ivan actually who was like, oh, witness to innocence, ask them if someone can speak. So I emailed them. They got back to me and they were like, oh, well, do you have the budget? And I was like, I don't think so. I was like, I'm not really looking to speak on it, but I don't believe that we have a budget. And they were like, that's okay. Like, our organization will cover the cost. So he did get paid for coming to speak.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's really good.
Wonderful.
I can't believe he was in Florida too. This is just
but this actually
a terrifying state.
This is actually an issue too. I mean, when we get people to tell their story, we should always figure out a way of them being paid. Because otherwise, what are they doing? They're entertaining rich white people. Not that we're rich, but you know, the way it looks
for
like.
yourself. I'm have a house in Florida, but no food. No.
Believe me, I'm not. But that's the thing. I mean, you know, entertaining people is not with your life story, which is just awful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so we have to be really careful with that.
Yeah.
Oh, now maybe that Amara's in charge. Maybe I could get Lydia to come back and speak again. Lydia Thornton.
Yeah.
Mara, I was going to have a friend from, it was New Jersey Coalition Against Isolated Confinement, and I met her through a faith-based organization, and when at attending, and she's really active in this agency, and she was going to speak, and then Ron told me right before that he had 2 other speakers. So,
yeah,
and
if you want to send it along my way, I actually just asked Susanna yesterday about planning for next month already, so I'm trying to get
I think she
Yeah,
might do it.
Yeah, we've got there's a whole list of people, and then we can get to speak. But Senator Sharif would be terrific.
yeah.
I mean, you've got an idea of what it's like at the Pennsylvania House. I mean, it's just awful. And here he is, a senator from Philadelphia, and he's trying to get changes in the gun laws. And in Pennsylvania, that's pretty much impossible. I mean, they even have a day off at the starting of hunting season. I mean, Pennsylvania and guns are kind of like the same thing. So there's all kind of issues there. And there's, so he's really.
Do you know him personally, Suzanne?
Yeah, I do.
You know him personally?
Yeah.
Well, that would I would really
he's
like to hear that.
Yeah, there's.
I knew he used to come with these long dreads, and he was skinny, and then he went to law school and got married, and now he's the senator. Always wears his. I mean, he's a lovely guy. I mean, he's not arrogant.
I'd love to hear him.
He's a real sweetie.
Their staffer got back to me and said that they'll look at his schedule. So I'm glad I contacted them early so that we can get him in. So
that'd be great.
But Jonna, feel free to send down any contact info, and I can.
Yeah, I will, because there's a couple of them.
Michael Coad would probably come back too. I mean, he spoke to us. He's like a hotshot lawyer and an activist.